Hello and welcome to Spokane County Spotlight. I'm Commissioner Nancy McLaughlin, and my guests today are the Executive Director of Peak 7 Adventures, Ryan Kerrigan, and Junior Guide, Adin Haines. Welcome to Spokane County Spotlight.
Thank you, Nancy. It's good to be here.
So Ryan, let's begin by talking about your background. From what I've heard, you've practically grown up in the outdoors. Is that true?
That's true, I have. I had the fortune of growing up, traveling all over the world as a young child. So most of my formative years were in other countries. My dad was a Navy surgeon, and then he went on reserves, and we were missionaries. And so he was a surgeon in Ecuador and Kenya. And so I lived kind of all over and spent a lot of time in the outdoors. And it was a huge part of my life. I climbed a tree when I was 3 and jumped out of it and broke my foot. So I started climbing things when I was very young.
So how did this lead into what today is known as Peak 7 Adventures?
Yeah, that's a long story, but in the short time that we have, I would say how it led into it, I knew I liked being in the outdoors. I knew I liked working with kids because I would work at camps all through high school and college. I'd go and serve at camps. But I didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily, but I knew I wanted it to have a greater impact than myself, right, and for a purpose. And, you know, I moved up from the Northwest, and I would see kids breaking bottles as I kayaked down the river. Kids just didn't engage. Even when I moved back from overseas, there's less interaction with getting outside, more video games, more TV, less getting energy out.
Right, lots of screens.
Yeah, lots of screens. And so the outdoors is a great avenue. And so how that worked is, long story short, a good friend of mine at the time, Robbie Reck, and I basically started dreaming. And then the company I was working for moved to Seattle, and I decided to stay. And then it was kind of like, okay, so what do we do? Do we actually do this? Do we actually serve kids that can't necessarily afford it? Right. And that was it. So that was the beginning.
So what kind of programs does Peak 7 offer?
Yeah, good question. The main 3 programs we offer are currently, well, 4, I guess I would say, is we do rafting, so water rafting, some single day and multi-day. We do climbing, so we do mostly single day climbing. And then we do backpacking, so we take kids just normal backpacking in the Cascades and also up mountains as well, so mountaineering. And then we also do a program called we do a wilderness medicine. So we teach people if something were to happen in the field, how do you keep somebody, how do you manage them in the field, or how do you manage them, the issue that comes up, or how do you get them out to keep them alive, basically.
So underlying, what's the mission of Peak 7 Adventures? Yeah. What's your purpose and goal for these young people?
So the mission statement basically is to provide a first-rate outdoor experience for kids that can help them grow spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally, to help them realize a greater potential, right? Most of these kids are stuck in a downward spiral. I come from a great home, and I've got plenty of issues myself, right? And a lot of doubt in life. And so how do you create something that lets them know that, hey, you know what, the situation that they're stuck in right now isn't what life needs to be like, right? Yeah.
So how many teens have you guys participated in your programs?
Yeah, so last year we served our 20,000th. And so
20,000th participant
since 2006. Yeah, we founded in 2006.
2006.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our first year we did 137 and did 14 raft trips and 1 backpacking trip. And then it just grew from there, and now we have offices in Seattle and down in Oregon, and serve kids all throughout the Northwest.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so we're 20 and something thousand. This year we'll probably do around just under 4,000, or just right around 4,000 kids.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Ryan, you're the executive director, founder, but we brought with us today Adin. Adin, tell us a little bit what got you into Peak 7. You were first a participant. Mm-hmm. How old were you, and what did you do?
So I was 14 at the time, and I got in some legal trouble, and I was doing my community service at the YMCA through their youth investment program. And the youth investment program was sending a group of kids on a trip with Peak 7, and the first one was a rafting trip. And it was just kind of an adrenaline kick, and it got me hooked, I guess. And later that summer, I went on a backpacking trip, and I think that's what had even more of an effect on me, because instead of a few hours, it was a few days, with awesome people, doing some really fun and hard, difficult things. Facing adversity and having people there to pick me up and encourage me had a really big effect on me. And then, so from there, I really was addicted. I have to be with these people, these people, and being outdoors. I've always loved nature, but I've never really had this awesome of an outlet.
Yeah. So which one was your favorite one? Okay, so last year I got to be a part of Peak 7 on a rafting trip on the river, on Spokane River. I've been on some other rafting trips.
Is that when you cried?
Oh yeah, right. I'm an adrenaline rushy myself, so I like it. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
And it was a blast. I'd actually never been on the Spokane River, and but I've never done the rock climbing and stuff. So Adin, what's been your favorite adventure?
That's a tough one. All of them. If I had to choose one, I'd probably say Baker.
Mount Baker.
Mount Baker, yeah. I've climbed Baker twice with Peak 7, but the first one I think probably had the biggest impact on me, just because that was the first time in my life that my life got put into perspective, I guess, and I really just kind of saw the big picture and put my life into context. And I saw beautiful things, I saw beautiful people, and I saw beauty in myself for one of the first times, and that's lasted with me. That has started. It got stuff rolling, and my life has just gotten better since then.
So how would you say that Peak 7 has changed your life?
In two ways. One, most importantly, is it's given me a place to meet mentors. Ryan, as well as many other guides that I've met through Peak 7, are great people that have invested in me. And that's something that I didn't have so much before. And then it's also given me opportunities for experience and to face adversity. And that's something that I feel like people my age don't get a whole lot of. They face plenty of adversity, but it's not guided. We don't have a whole lot of people there to let us do it on our own, but catch us if we fall. And so experiences like that, pushing myself up a mountain, facing the fear of going down a river or.
And teamwork.
Yeah, exactly, teamwork too. Working on rope teams and communicating with people for a whole week out in the wilderness is an awesome experience.
So what are you doing now, and do you have any plans for the future?
Yeah. So right now I'm just working, but this next semester I'll be going to the falls. Just going to school, I guess.
Going to school. Well, that's a great plan, because before you obviously were talking about having some issues with the law. Obviously, you felt like you were being. You did not have good direction.
Yeah.
Would you say that Peak 7 helped bring that direction back into your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I was making a lot of really bad choices, and a lot of that was I had an extremely low standard for myself, and I didn't really know what good choices were and what those led to. And so now I've seen people who made good choices, and those people who have invested in me. Yeah. And now I can kind of see where their lives have led them and how happy they are, and how now I have a new standard for myself. It's definitely.
So you're quite a testimony. And you know what? I want to tie this into a little bit. 70% of Spokane County's budget has to do around our criminal justice system. 70%. And part of that criminal justice system is our juvenile justice. So right now, we're trying to do some intervention type programs to change kids' lives, but many times that catches them when they've already been in a certain amount of trouble. What I see about Peak 7 Adventures as being very proactive. You're reaching into the community and communities now. You're seeking them out. Correct? You're inviting them to have opportunities to teamwork, challenge themselves, face their fears. Is this true? Is this what you're about?
It is true. It is true. The main age we work with is basically 13 and 19. We do stuff with adults, and then we do stuff with really young kids that's very limited because of the nature of what we do. So we'll take them on the upper Spokane, but that's exactly it. I mean, I don't know that we can say that we get them before, but regardless, you know, everybody has a story, and so part of it is just getting a chance to get into that story and just let them know that they're loved, that they matter, and they're worth something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a 30-minute program here,
Yeah.
and you have some sort of like a 10-minute stats. Like tell me about this.
Yeah, so we made a video, a documentary, and we got some stats on, you know, anywhere you look at it, you can find stats, and when you look at the statistics, it's pretty sobering out there what they look like. So in this 30 minutes, for 10 minutes, shall we say, we'll just do it by 10. In the next 10 minutes of us having a conversation, it would be 10 kids commit suicide in the United States, 27 kids run away from home the first time. There's, you know, teen pregnancy, a lot of sobering statistics, and it's kind of an animal to go against.
You know, we have a lot of really grim and sobering statistics out there, but Peak 7 Adventures, their message is hope, correct?
Absolutely.
They're hope, and so, like Adin, you know, you had your first opportunity, you participated, but what I see is wonderful is many of the kids repeat. They get a taste of something that they see, and they say, "I'm not done. This feels good. This is creating confidence in me. I'm looking within." Is this all true? And Adin, how has that worked with you?
Absolutely. You know, it's first of all, it's fun. You know, that's the biggest thing. I mean, that's what kids really react to is fun. So that keeps people coming back. But as soon as they realize, you know, and I know this from personal experience. As soon as you realize, you know, kind of the seeds that have been planted inside you that are now growing, you know, things like confidence and you know, really just self-value. That's when you're like, I have to find this everywhere I go. You know, and it kind of, it's one of those moments where you kind of realize, you know, like a fish realizing the water they've lived in their whole life, where you understand just the negativity you've been surrounded by your whole life, and it makes you realize that you need to surround yourself with better people. That's what I realized.
Yeah. So you now see yourself as you're now a junior guide, right, Adin?
Yep.
So you have come kind of full circle, or at least you're in that circle of being the participant, the kid that was struggling with direction, wondering where you fit in this world, and now you've come around and you're helping other kids. When you can help other kids, what makes you smile the brightest, or when you get what's the response that you're looking for that you can say then, like, wow, I'm making a difference?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think probably what makes me smile the brightest at the end of the day are kids who really struggle. You know, whether that's emotionally or physically, if they're facing a lot of adversity and they don't think that they can, you know, take even another step, and then they do it. You know, I've had kids that, you know, were you know, crying and their feet hurt and they missed home and stuff like that. And they didn't think that they could take even one more step. But you know, the next day they climbed all the way to the top of a mountain. You know, they summited a mountain. And seeing the difference of that fear on their face going up and just the smile on their face going down, knowing that the kid I met before the trip and the kid that that I've now gotten to know after the trip are you know, there's a difference there. You know, there's confidence, and that's something that will last with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? What do you look for when you're out there with kids? I mean, you're doing a lot of you know, one thing of being the executive director, I'm sure you have to do a lot of the administrative work stuff, and you're an outdoors guy. So I'm sure at times it's killing you that you're sitting in an office having to do that kind of stuff. But so do you get out very often now? And when you do,
I haven't gotten out as much as I'd probably like to the last few years. We've just kind of grown, and the administrative stuff has really taken over. So yes, I do miss going out on trips. When I do go out on trips, I enjoy it. What I actually enjoy really doing now is, you know, we hire summer staff to come and run seasonal team basically. And, you know, I get to tell them, hey, look, you know what? We work all year, and you guys are the hands and feet. Who these kids see and experience is who Peak 7 is. So there's that aspect. The other aspect is, I think that agendas, I know I've had agendas over the years. I think the less that we can do that and just go and listen to a kid's story and just be there with him. If he's had a hard time, just say, you know what, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for you. I don't. There's just some really hard things out there. If anybody's been involved in it and experienced it or even heard it, it's really, really, really hard stuff, and there's no answer for it. It's a lot of pain, and
So what's the hope that you give as an organization besides trying to
we're
gain?
faith-based.
That's right. That's where I wanted to head next.
And so we staff, we believe in Jesus and what he stood for, and he told us that the first commandment, the one that rules over the rest basically, is to love others, and loving others is an aspect of meeting needs, right? So how do we meet needs? Now we're kind of out of the box. We're not providing shelter. Well, for a week we are, and food. But it's taking them out into God's handiwork and saying, man, look how small we are. Somebody made this, and that somebody, this is who we believe that somebody is. Or people have different beliefs, but we believe that it was created, and then you see that, and it's kind of hard to imagine anything else other than, wow, somebody cares about me.
Well, and nature provides the perfect backdrop for kids to get away from the noise of life in the inner city, the screens, the televisions, the yellings, and I've seen a couple of videos and just having these kids respond. I mean, they can see the stars without the city lights, and they have to calm down, and they gives time for introspective. And on one of the videos, there were kids that it was a Mount Baker video I was watching, and some made it to the top. A couple did not. And what I loved about it is that the guides were so into caring for the kids that they could figure out when they had met the edge for that particular trip. Like, no, we're not going to push you over the edge, and we're staying here with you. You're fine. Look how far you've come. I loved that part. There's such a sensitivity to the needs. And my husband and I, we're huge supporters of Peak 7. We love it because my husband's own experience was that really finding his relationship with the Lord through spending a lot of times outdoors and through another organization. But when he heard about you guys, we were hooked in, as you know. But so we're talking about youth, but Peak 7 is not just for teens, is it? What else do you offer?
We've grown from that. Our main focus when we first started was inner city kids, and we've grown way beyond that. I mean, that's a big focus, and we work with that. But I mean, we'll help. I mean, we serve other people as well. We charge them for it to help fund. But yeah, I mean, anybody could. But basically, if we get a call, if the coordinators get a call, and it's a group that can't really pay much, or it's somebody that can pay. I mean, basically, what we said internally is like, hey, you know what? We're going to take the people that can't pay as much, even though it's like, there's money, but God's provided the money. Otherwise, He's not limited by resources. So.
No, He's not, and so. This is just for a minute about pay. If kids really want to participate, I think your philosophy is that you try to get them buy-in by putting some amount on the table for their buy-in, so it's just not totally free.
Absolutely.
But you make it so that you want these kids, these inner city kids, and those that can't afford it. So you do make it possible for them through.
Yeah, we try to make money not be an issue, but we do want them to do something for it. We don't want to be a handout. We want the value to be there.
Yeah.
And so, that's
awesome.
absolutely what we do.
Well, I've also know that you, I've never seen it. I have seen a few pictures, but not in person. So imagine, Ann Ogden Hall. This is a women's ministry, a part of the Union Gospel Mission.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are involved. That these women who are going through a lot of, they're not teenagers. The majority of them are not. They're women, many of them with children. They've got. They're struggling with soft skills. Some of them have come from abusive domestic violence situations. Some of them have had drug and alcohol. But you guys have partnered up with UGM, and I think you do a yearly trek with women who want to, and you take them down. And I can't
blast.
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
Usually when they pull up, I mean, they're way before they're even like in eyesight. We hear that woo, woo, screaming out the windows of their vehicle, and they pull up, and they're just a hoot. Yeah, they're just so much fun.
And most of these women have never had that kind of opportunity to be set free in nature and be given a paddle and encouraged to say we're part of this team and we can make it down the river, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and our different programs, exactly right. Rafting does really well with teamwork. You got to use teamwork to get down the river. Climbing is kind of a trust more dealing with, they all deal with trust in some aspect, but that's the more focus of a trust. And those are single day typically, and that lets groups get to know us. Because we don't, at the beginning, nobody knew who we were. And we were faith-based, so it's kind of like, like, well, I don't know. And it's like, no, like, come get to know us, like, we care about you, and we care about the people. And so we've had people that have gone with us, gone somewhere else, and come back because they say, man, your guys just, they just care. And we provide more. It's not the rafting trip. It's really not. I mean, that's a means for what we do, but it's just an avenue.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Adin, are you going to be going on more trips this summer as a junior guide? What's your role?
No, so I started as a participant, and then I moved up to junior guide, and the purpose of that is to essentially assist the older guides and kind of serve, lead by example. This summer, I'm kind of bumping it up a notch. I'm actually doing the Bauer Adventure course, which is a 56-day program. And it starts with a few days of training in town, which includes the Wilderness First Responders course, and we get certified in that. And then we go to a 12-day backpacking trip through Olympic National Park, and we'll be summiting a mountain there. And then I think we go to Smith Rock after that, and do some climbing. And there's also, we're rafting down the Deschutes. We're going to be serving at UGM camp. The end of the course is, I'm doing it with an awesome group of guys. I've met most of them. And so the participants are going to have to plan out and execute a trip all on our own. And there will be guides, ahead of us and behind us to make sure we don't get in trouble. But as far as the logistics and the execution goes, it's all on us. And so I'm really excited to build relationships with these awesome guys and use our teamwork.
So this is really, I see it all as a building block for God growing up young men of God to be strong fathers, husbands, businessmen, wilderness guides, just I just think it's fabulous. I do have a question though. We're talking about so much having to do with outdoor adventures, but what about for those people who maybe aren't as young or as adventurous? Are there some ways that people can connect into Peak 7 without signing up for anything and help accomplish your mission?
There are, but before you said that, you said young, and you looked at me and you said adventurous. So are you saying I'm not young, Nancy? No. There are ways.
We do share a birthday.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we do, and I'm older, so obviously. There are ways. There's many ways. We have over 500 volunteers a year that get involved, and some of those are guides. But if guide is not it, you can come out and feed kids, you can help shuttle, you can take photos, you can work in the office, you can help with fundraisers. We have a lot of different events. There's a lot of ways you can get involved.
Because it takes, when you're administrating a program like this,
it takes an army.
Yeah, it does. It's just not, it's it's all about the kids or about those that you're ministering to, but to make that happen, you need somebody who likes to work in the office and answer phone calls and
Or
set
be
up
part
the
of a fundraiser, right?
Fundraiser, right. And so people out there that are listening today, I'm talking to the people who might be watching this, go to Google Peak 7 Adventures and you can find out all about the ministry. And my husband and I, we first attended a bocce ball tournament. I'd never played bocce ball at the Bozarth Manor. And
so much fun, isn't it?
It's such a blast. So you're getting to meet other people who are supporters of Peak 7 and those guides and the people involved, and you become invested in it, and then you're happy to write a check, and you know where your money's going for. Plus, you get to be competitive, not on the river that day, but throwing a bocce ball. And my husband and I team, 3 times we've end up now in the championship circle. Never won it though.
Well,
always the
it's rigged, I
bridesmaid,
think.
never the bride.
rigged.
Yeah, rigged.
We
No.
weight the balls.
No, usually we're up against, I think every time, a group of all men team, and they have actually practiced, and they are more competitive than we are. We just happen to be like, we're throwing well today. This is great.
I don't know how that always ends up, but you guys are good.
But so before we leave, is there anything else you would like to add that we haven't already talked about? I'm going to start with Adin. Adin, what do you want to tell young people or parents out there about Peak 7?
I guess really what Peak 7 is about is planting seeds. in a week, or even a day, you're not necessarily going to watch that seed grow, but that seed will grow. You know, they're investing in people. You know, Peak 7 wants to take kids, whether they have already gotten in trouble or not, and plant seeds in their hearts and show them that they can do anything that they set out to do, and that they're valuable. And I think that's the two most important things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I think, you know, Adin mentioned adversity earlier, and there's an aspect of, you know, we are about, our slogan is basically challenge the body, engage the spirit. So we are about challenge, and in life, when I think about the times you face adversity, right? Adversity used correctly, there can be a lot of growth through that adversity. So it's how do we do that best? And that's kind of what we focus on. So we challenge kids. There was one other thing, but I don't remember what it was.
Well, the people now watched, they can go to your website, they can Google you, they can go to your Facebook page, they can like your Facebook page, and
I do remember actually, because it's basically something Adin said one time that I just want to say again. He articulated better than I ever could, something along the lines of everybody needs a mentor, everybody has a mentor, so they need better mentors out there. And that's kind of a call out he had at one of our functions, and it was kind of like, wow, you're right, everybody's being mentored by somebody, so we need better mentors.
Yeah, because the problem is, you know, kids inherently will look up to people, you know, and so a lot of the time, you know, I know that the people I looked up to in years past were not necessarily good people and didn't set a very good example. So whether we like it or not, kids are going to find mentors, and those mentors are often, you know, not good people. They could be criminals. They could be, you know, just preaching a really bad message. Yeah. And so what Peak 7 does is they actively seek out people to mentor. Which I feel like not enough people are doing. So kind of what I like to encourage people to do, especially adults, is to go out and find a kid and believe in them and invest in them. Yeah. And that's scary, to put yourself out there and to be looked up to like that. Yeah. But you know, I guarantee you'll be a better mentor than a lot of people have.
I don't want to stop this conversation, but I'm afraid that we're out of time, and I'd like to thank my guests, Peak 7 Adventures' Executive Director Ryan Kerrigan and Junior Guide Adin Haines. I'm County Commissioner Nancy McLaughlin, and thank you for joining us for Spokane County Spotlight.